Hi, welcome to North of 48 for October the 26th. I have to apologize for not being around. It has been a very, very busy last 3 weeks, but I think we're back on track, and Jim and Martha are going to join us next week, as well as I have another guest. We're going to talk about his travels. But for now, something strange is happening in Canada. Start of October, there's a group named Samadoun, which is a Hamas affiliated group. They did a rally in Vancouver, and they were behind the Death to Canada chant and Death to USA. Canada has now listed Samadoun, a pro-Palestinian group, where they burned the Canadian flag in Vancouver earlier this month, as a terrorist entity. Violent extremism, acts of terrorism, or terrorist financing have no place in Canada, society, or abroad. Public Safety Minister Dominic LeBlanc said in a statement, "The listing of Samadoun as a terrorist entity under the criminal code sends a strong message that Canada will not tolerate this type of activity and will do everything in its power to counter the ongoing threat to Canada's national security and all people in Canada." Now, Samadoun has previously been listed as a terrorist entity by Germany and the Netherlands, and in a release, Public Safety Canada said the group has close links with and advances the interests of the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine. It's also listed as a terrorist entity by the U.S. and European Union. The U.S. Treasury Department has said Samadoun is a sham charity that serves as an international fundraiser for the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine, PFLP, and has laid terrorism-related sanctions against both Samadoun and its leader, Khaled Barakat, who holds Canadian citizenship. They also went on to say the department said that Samadoun masquerade as charitable actors that claim to provide humanitarian support to those in need, yet in reality divert funds for much-needed assistance to support terrorist groups. They play critical roles in external fundraising for the PFLP, according to a U.S. statement. And the organization first emerged in 2011 and has at least 20 chapters in 12 countries, including Canada and the United States. I know they were banned in Britain. It also has a chapter in Iran, which is designated as a state supporter of terrorism. Well, here's the thing. You can, as a Canadian, you can burn the flag. You can say all sorts of stuff for free speech. But that doesn't mean I, as a Canadian, don't take offense to it. I take offense to it, and I think that's bullshit. I mean, we have the war going on in Israel, and I'll get into more of that right away. But now you're bringing it into our shores, into our country. Should we be aware of it? Yeah, we should. But I think there's a popular saying is you don't piss in your own pool. And that's exactly what they're doing. I have a video clip I will share with you, and you can do more.
The burning of the Canadian flag and inflammatory remarks at a pro-Palestinian rally last week is still under investigation by Vancouver police. The rally, organized in part by the group Samadoun, which has just been declared a terrorist group by the Government of Canada.
And we're working with our public safety partners, locally, nationally, and internationally, to understand how this impacts us.
The terrorist designation will impact fundraising, recruitment, and travel.
We'd like to speak to you about Samadoun being declared a terrorist group.
No answer at the Vancouver home of Charlotte Cates, the international coordinator of Samadoun, according to the group's website.
Heroic and brave action on October 7th!
Cates is under investigation for alleged hate crimes after controversial remarks about the attack on Israel at a Free Palestine rally at the Vancouver Art Gallery in April. Vancouver police forwarded a report to the BC Prosecution Service 4 months ago. Still no decision on charge approval.
In a joint action with Canada, the United States also declared Samadoun a terrorist organization, calling it a sham charity. The Americans going one step further, putting Cates' husband, Khaled Barakat, on a terrorism watch list for alleged connections to the PFLP, the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine.
Samadoun has already been banned in Germany. Soldiers raiding operations there last fall.
I was arrested.
Cates, who was in Iran recently accepting a human rights award, has not been charged with any offense. Neither has Samadoun. We have reached out to the group for comment. Cates' lawyer declined. Ramina Dea, Global News.
So it seems, well, maybe in wartime all bets are off when it comes to desecrating iconic Canadians. Terry Fox, who a lot of people know of, ran a cross-country cancer run, and he unfortunately died. So there's a Terry Fox statue in Ottawa. And so some people says, well, they took the Canadian flag off him and put a Palestinian flag. I've got the picture up. There should be some things in life that are off limits and above the debate of the day, or at least they should be. So a pro-Palestinian scarf draped around Fox's shoulders and kids holding Palestinian flags, I guess, and they posed for a photo. I don't think they know about Terry Fox, though, and how iconic he is. He's become the statue itself has become a prop for protesters, his likeness being used to make it look like he's taken the side of the terrorist organization. If it was like tourists taking videos for their family, that's one thing. This is not it. Bill Vargas, who was Terry Fox's communications coordinator during his famous 1980 Marathon of Hope, finds it inappropriate. Speaking only for himself and not the Fax family or foundation, who have yet to comment, Vigors said his feelings have nothing to do with the current conflict between Israel and Gaza, or any previous conflicts. It's a general statement on using the Terry Fox statue for a cause other than battling cancer. His legacy should never be used for political ends. And that's my point, so don't get ticked at me. It should never be used for political ends. Those are my words. Vigor went on to say he had one cause. Fox's sole aim was to fight cancer. So now it's misappropriation of culture, if you will. I have another soundbite news about the in Toronto. There was a Palestinian rally, so we'll get on to that.
With very clear demands from our politician. The first is to end the genocide of the people in the Gaza Strip that's taking place at the hand of the Israeli government. We're asking Canada to end its complicity in this genocide, to stop arming Israel or sending weapons to Israel. And we're asking our politicians to take a balanced stance. The vote that was taken yesterday was one that had it was erasing Palestinians, was not they refused to add pieces in there that related to ending the blockade on Gaza, to allow humanitarian aid to enter the Gaza Strip, and really it's a rhetoric that's very racist to Palestinians, and that's one that we're here to hold them accountable for, and to say this is not being done in our name. We'll never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated.
Now again, don't get too upset. People could say, oh, it was a statue that kid was on. That's fine. A Palestinian scarf. I remember the run, and I remember the fascination, and this fellow running across Canada. And the whole thing is, he wanted to beat cancer. Cancer got him in the end. But to use these iconic symbols, speaking of iconic, now, what about the Jewish people? What are they feeling? We've seen all the Palestinians up in arms, burning the flags and stuff, which makes me think, why the frig did we bring them into the country? I'm sorry, but if you're going to immigrate to a country, you got to leave that crap behind, right? Now, bring attention to what's happening in that country, I get. Okay, don't get me wrong on that. It's just horrendous, the amount of people that are being killed. I'll get into that in a second. But so harassing Jewish people in Canada over the Israel-Hamas war is pure anti-Semitism, says an activist. This activist is a professor, Shai Davida, and he's a Jewish Columbia University researcher. He's banned from the campus for opposing students and staff who allegedly support terrorism, spoke to a packed house in Winnipeg, calling out Jewish hatred. Now, here's the thing is, Shai Davida, he's a pro-Palestinian Zionist. He supports a two-state solution to the Middle East conflict, and he carried a message for Winnipeggers in the wake of the anti-Israel protests that many say crossed the line into abuse and harassment. His visit was facilitated by the Jewish group Tafsik. There is a war, these are his words, there is a war going on in the Middle East, and no matter what you think of the war, if you are for it, if you are against it, if you're indifferent, it doesn't matter what you think of that war. There is no excuse for harassing Jewish people 5,000 miles away from that war. That's pure anti-Semitism. He also goes on to say, unfortunately, for the past 2,000 years, people who wanted a reason to hate Jews would find a reason to hate Jews. When a Canadian puts on a Jewish... Now, Ramsey Zed, president of the Canadian Palestinian Association of Manitoba, he participated in anti-Israel protests in the Jewish neighborhood of Tuxedo in Winnipeg, said Zed tried to separate Jews from the concept of political Zionism. He spoke well of Jews, but called out Zionism. In online posts, Zed has compared Israel to the terror group ISIS. He said online that millions of people around the world are starting to see Zionism for what it is, a disease that must be destroyed. Here's the thing, both you guys, both you people, you're doing some bad crap. It's in my country now, you're bad crap. You're you're polluting the discourse in Canadian society with your bad crap. Kids see this. Kids are influenced by this. In Canada, we're supposed to have a public sphere where you can talk about these issues, but everybody is so roiled up right now over it. The United States has obviously given more weapons to Israel. Hamas, if they did not start the October 7th, I would suggest there wouldn't be 43,000 Palestinians dead. You know, I think I can say that's a fact. Please change my mind in the comments. Tell me that I'm wrong and tell me why. There comes a time, though. So once you start a war, once you start shooting, your rhetoric is lost. Then it's all passion, right? You'd be further ahead, I would suggest, I mean, we were aware of the Palestinian situation, were we not? Everybody was against BDS, and Israel wasn't looked good upon by the treatment they gave the Palestinians. So now you've lost that. You've lost that PR. You've lost that sense. And I don't care how frustrated you are. There was no excuse to come out and shoot 13 to 1,400 Israelis, and most of them at a rave. Kids, shame on you. Just shame on you. So as a Canadian, I'm trying to stay neutral, but you know what? You guys, don't you hate it when people say you guys? It's like talking to a whole bunch of kids. Hey, you guys. But here's the thing. Hamas has made Netanyahu look good. Nobody in this world could make Netanyahu look good. Hamas did it. They did it with style. And now Netanyahu, he's just all on board with his latest American gadget, and he's going to shoot everything up. The one thing about Hamas is, 2008 or 2015 was the last vote for Hamas. A lot of people, I've been watching these videos on Palestinian people. They've not wanted to be associated with Hamas because all these Hamas leaders, and even the PLO was like that. Their sons and daughters are treated like princes and princesses. They get all the stuff, and the people don't get stuff. They don't get food for the masses. The food that was coming in there was taken by Hamas and stored in tunnels for the fighters. So where in this equation where's the off-ramp here, guys? Where is the off-ramp? That's what I want to know. Please leave your comments in the comment section, and let's keep this going. I'm sorry, I'm frustrated. I want people to get along. We have the Ukraine-Russia war going on right now. For crying out loud, can this world take another one? I don't know. I'd like to thank Global, India Today, Wyon, for using some of their video clips, and the CBC. I hope you have a better week than a lot of people out in the Middle East are. Take care. Bye.